They've also changed the way
Survey
intel works
complete.
for planets. So you have, it's like very high, medium, and low now, and none. None means you have absolutely no intel at all. Low means that you know what is there, but you don't know what the planets are. I think if you survey it, it goes to medium. High is if you have, it's like within scanner range or something. Because your sensors work differently now. So before sensors, I'm gonna pull up a ship so I can look at them. So now they just have a sensor range. I think before it was a sensor strength, and a sensor range of 1 means they can see everything within the system they're in, and about halfway to the next system. So you'll be jumping blind with your basic radar or scanners. When you get to the level 2 ones, they have a sensor range of 2, which means they can see from the system they are currently in into the other system, which will give you like the medium detection. So you actually see if there's hostile aliens in there. So if you're exploring with your science ship, because you're forced to now, which still not super thrilled about that. Hey, look at that! Alien vessels! What were the odds of that happening? Please don't die, science ship. Let me just take them off, because these aren't hostile aliens, it seems.
I found a system with a gateway.
Cool. That's the Mass Effect relay thing.
Oh, okay. It's right next to the system with a wormhole.
Construction complete.
So yeah, in the beginning of the game, you will blind jump into systems, and as I have just explained, if you do, odds are you're going to run into aliens.
Construction
once
complete.
you get the second level of radar, you can put those on your military ships, and your military ships can go into the next system because their sensors are strong enough to see that. So until you get that tech, however, you're kind of in the dark. And you will lose your science ships because of this. I don't care what the devs have said. I don't care what never happens in our test games. Meanwhile, one of their test games, they were live streaming. It happened. I have lost not tons. I mean, it's fairly hard for science ships to get blown up now. The problem is
complete.
You will still lose them, and odds are you will lose the leader that's in them. Which, at first, when they were saying that they've removed influence and now they cost energy, it's like, well, you don't have any energy in the start of the game. But the one thing about energy now is energy is considered more of a resource now, in that you have to spend it. And I'm actually okay with this now that I've played the game more, because sometimes you were just maxed at energy. There was nothing you could do about it. But as a consequence, everything that costed energy before now costs more energy, as well as other things. For example, something that you can look at on your screen jars while I'm talking about these things is if you go to the more options, or you can press F6 and pull up your policies and edicts. You can look in here. This is where all the edicts are. They used to be per planet. Now they are empire-wide. They're a bit more expensive, but they also last way longer.
Good. That's a much better way to go. It doesn't make sense that inside of a culture that's underneath a central capital, that every planet has its own rules.
Complete.
Yeah, and there are
Construction
still
complete.
planetary, edicts you can do, but I haven't seen a whole lot. The easiest one is martial law. You have that. It produces unrest. So if you take over a planet from an alien race, they're kind of upset that you took them over. And if it really becomes a problem, you can enact martial law, and that will lower unrest until you can build up a defense fleet, or they stop being upset that you took them over. So influence is got way more cost to it now. So you will very easily run out of things you can spend influence on unless you're purposely not spending it. When you start getting into the war stuff, you will burn through influence like mad. But as far as very slow expansion in the beginning of the game, you're probably going to end up with too much. Like, you can get to 1,000, especially if you get like good factions. I still hate factions, but if you get a good faction, you can get up to +5 or even +6 influence every turn, which is really, really strong. And at that point, you're like, gee, I have 1,000 influence. What do I do? Oh, well, I'll just, go in here to my, ethics and be like, I'm just going to do this research grant. It lasts for 11 years, and it's plus 10% to research speed. It costs 200 influence. I mean, that's really strong. And it's empire-wide, so it's not, one planet gets 10%, more research. No, it's your entire, empire. So there's good changes and bad changes. You can't have the bad without the good, or you can't have the good without the bad, whichever way that works.
My empire actually right now, it looks kind of like a chalk outline of a cadaver if the arms and legs were cut off.
Wow.
This does not
really
bode
dark.
well for this human empire.
For the human empire. Oh, one of the things they did is, how before you had to build troop transport, or design them rather, troop transports, colony ships, construction ships, and science ships in the F-10? That's gone. They auto upgrade now.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because you don't build enough of them for it to matter.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you're like, oh, gee, you got to make sure I have the right warp drive on them. It doesn't matter. In fact, they auto update in deep space, which is strange, but okay. Like, if you research, warp technology 2 and he's out exploring, suddenly he has warp drive 2 engines. It's gonna be 9 months to figure out what your dumb language is.
It is human.
It is human language.
Construction complete.
Yeah, human soul, human earth. There was someone in another Discord I'm a part of that was talking about how they'd like to have a science package. Like, if you go into F10 or whatever and you're looking at your Corvette and that says like interceptor or missile boat or whatever, they were talking about having a package in here that was like exploring package.
That would actually be pretty cool because you could just slip one of those into a fleet, and and then have a very kind of a mobile science, heavily armed science fleet.
Yeah, and so it'd have like
Special
one
project
small gun,
complete.
and then you could actually have it where it could defend itself. It's still just a Corvette or whatever, so it wouldn't be insanely powerful or anything. But that was an idea that someone brought up, and it's like I would be okay with that.
Construction complete.
I'd even be fine with it being restricted to just Corvettes. But the thing about it though is, like, it makes sense, but as soon as you get the level 2 sensors, it doesn't really matter at that point, because your
Special
military
project
ships
complete.
can now scan neighboring systems. So now, if it allowed your combat vessels to scan more like a science ship, I would want that. But me as a player, me as a balancing person would say, well, then why do science ships exist in the first place? So you'd be making science ships redundant.
Just wait to discover human Zappa. It is the pride of the galaxy.
Technology.
And you can
discovered.
rename every single star that's under your control as well. So you could just rename, put human at the front of everything. Nishpan. No, it is no longer called Nishpan. It is now Human Nishpan. It's part of our human empire. You can start on Tomb Worlds now. The one thing Tomb Worlds have very little of?
Tombs?
Food. So if you're an organic race that survived your own apocalypse, it's really hard to build back up because your people are literally starving. They might, oh, hey, I have researched your language. The human empire. Greetings, I have been chosen by human president Richard Fitzgerald.
Richard Fitzgerald.
Whatever.
That's Kennedy's middle name.
Your alien words are confusing.
Richard
To represent the
Fitzgerald
human empire.
Reagan's. That's important.
In all diplomatic dealings with your people, we strive to unlock the full potential of technology, and you would do well not to intervene with our pursuit of knowledge. Our warriors salute you, humans! Air quotes. This changes everything!
And yet, changes nothing.
Do you see where my actual colony, my planet is named?
Actually, Earth. Heresy. As a human Highlander once said, that there can be only one.
And my people are more human looking than yours. I mean, just be honest.
No one is more human looking than I. Bask upon my humanness. My chin tentacles swing in the breeze.
I almost misclicked and told my science ship to research and
To
not
explode.
well, the explore or survey. I was laughing. I was trying to tell them to explore, and I almost clicked survey. Not that it's really gonna matter. It's survey that
complete.
crap. I'm just trying to explore and see if there's hostile aliens. So, it is very close to 2010 or 2210, and that means we are probably going to start getting hostile pirates because that's a thing.
Well, I'm gonna get this other colony running before I worry about that.
Oh, one thing they did change, which I think you'll like, is unfortunately there's no hotkey for this, which is just stupid. If you click on the More button, the very, very bottom one is Fleet Manager. And you can automatically just, set up your fleet that way. So if it's missing ships or whatever, they'll just be like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. And they will automatically reinforce. It will also tell you, like, mine says 3 out of 5 because I told it to have, 2 more ships in there. It's funny because I'm actually better miners than robots. Robots have a plus 10% to their mining. Ute colony, okay. But if I look at my people are industrious, which gives them 15% bonus to minerals. They're also strong, which gives them another 5% to minerals and a 20% to army damage. So I actually have a 20% bonus to mining per person, and I have a empire-wide civic.
Technology discovered.
Civic. What is it? Yeah, civic, which is mining guilds. So and I have another 10% bonus to minerals because of that. I think I was building the wrong thing when I went and added this. So, my people are amazing at getting minerals, which they will eventually use to build robots, which are inferior at them at getting minerals. But I believe once I unlock droids, you can't do it with robots, but with droids, you can tell them to colonize. So like a very, very low, like for example, a desert world, which would be really, really hard for my people to live on. It's 20%. I can send a bunch of robots there who don't care. So the robots would be able to get things for me. They might not be as good as my people, but my people wouldn't be able to live there anyway.